Carolina. And one of the things that we try to do is to try to give families as much information as we can about either getting ready for college or about the paying for college process. So we're going to definitely talk about paying for college tonight. Again, if you have questions, if you weren't here a few minutes ago, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. And then I'll definitely address any questions that I have towards the end. But again, thank you for joining. So one of the things that I do like to make sure that everyone is aware of, or at least you should be aware of, is that this month is technically called Countdown to College Month here in North Carolina. And so what we do is we have try to give seniors in particular as much information as we can about getting ready for college. And we're trying to encourage all seniors to get their applications done, whether it's their admissions applications, to their residency applications, to their financial aid forms. So if you are not aware of all the things that we are encouraging seniors to get done this month, definitely visit the page. It's on the cfnc.org website, and you can click on Apply to College, and you'll see 2020 event schedule. And that'll show you all of the things that will be offered this month to help seniors get encouraged as far as to getting their applications done. Something else is happening this month is that we will also be having lots of live events. So we're going to have quite a few virtual live events for senior families who may have questions. So if you are actually filling out the FAFSA, if you are filling out your residency application, this will be a good week to maybe join one of our live virtual events. This will be just a chance for you to be able to ask questions. So you don't necessarily there's not going to be like a long presentation. They'll just have a preview about what it's going to be about, and you'll be able to either ask questions in the chat or to ask questions to people. So it's a great time to join if you have any questions about the FAFSA or the residency form. Starting next week will be about applications, so primarily about college applications. So you'll see the different times on here, and you can actually call in if you have questions as you're filling out your college applications, and these are the times and the days that we'll be having the live events to be able to ask questions. We do have experts in the field that will be answering the questions, so people from financial aid offices from all across North Carolina, people from CFNC, and also admissions personnel. Whether or not it's college applications, FAFSA, residency, financial aid, it will be about any of those topics. We do ask that you register. That's the only way that you'll be able to get the link to be able to ask the questions. So when you go to that 2020 event schedule on CFNC, you'll see a link to register. So if you wanted to call in and ask questions, you'll be able to do so then. So just remember that these are taking place the entire month. And then what's happening starting Monday is a way for you guys to be able to save money for your college applications is that we will be doing Countdown to College as far as waiving applications. So all of these colleges in North Carolina will be have their application fees waived from October the 19th through October the 30th. So you will be able to apply to any of these colleges. There's no income limitation. You'll be able to apply to any of the schools if you're a senior without having to pay the fee. You do have to apply on CFNC. So I want to make this part clear. There's so many different application portals that students can use to apply to college. So they can absolutely go to Common App. They can go to that college's website. They can go to what they call the Coalition app. But in order to get your fees waived between October the 19th through the 30th, you have to start your application on cfnc.org. So the student would come to cfnc.org, click on Apply to College, and then choose their college. Now the college may send them to the Common Application, but in order to be able to get that option that says your fee has been waived, you have to start the application process on cfnc.org. But again, just keep this in mind. This will happen the last 2 weeks of October, again, starting Monday. So if for the students who have not gotten all their applications done or even started them, this would be a good week to do that. One of the applications that we're encouraging seniors to get done in particular is their residency application. So this is fairly new in North Carolina. So if you've had an older student, you may not have had to go through this process before. But here in North Carolina, all students who are graduating from any high school in North Carolina are asked to go to the residency website and apply for residency here. So normally it used to be on college applications, the student would be asked if they are from North Carolina, and they would just say yes or no. And the school would make the decision on whether or not if they believe believed that the person was from North Carolina or not. Because it wasn't necessarily done consistently, the state created a website. And so now any senior that is applying to any college, whether or not it's a public college, a private college, or a community college, they do have to apply for residency. So this is a website to do that. You'll answer the questions. At the end of it, you will get a residency number. And that's the number that student will use either on their college applications. Most of the colleges do have spaces on their application that ask, what is your residency number? And so this is where they get it from. If the college doesn't have it on their application, they'll just ask them for it later. But it's important in the fact that, for one, and it will ensure that you will get in-state tuition, but the other portion is that you are also being considered for money through the state of North Carolina. So every state does have money that they consider their students to help pay for college, and North Carolina definitely has some. And so in order to be considered for any kind of North Carolina funds, a senior that's applying to any college or university here has to fill out the residency application. For senior parents that are on here, one way that you will know if your student has completed this already is that they should have asked you some questions. Most students cannot fill this out by themselves. Their residency, because of their age, is based off of their parents' residency. So a lot of questions are geared towards parents and how long they've been here in North Carolina. You pay North Carolina taxes, even driver's license number, and that type of information. So that's one clue that you know that your student has not done it if they have not asked you any specific North Carolina questions. But definitely be sure that you get this done, because this is really a really important part of the process if you want to be sure that you are charged in state and if you want to be considered for North Carolina funds. The other part of it that we like to make sure that families are aware of is that we want to make sure you're at least clear of all the expenses that you're trying to get money for college. On the left-hand side, these are what we call your priority items. So of course, if they're going to either to a 2-year school or a 4-year school, they have to pay for their classes and the fees associated with those classes. If they're planning to live on a 4-year campus and they're allowed to live on a 4-year campus, they'll also be paying for room and meals. So these are your priority things. So one of the things I tell either junior and or senior families is, as you're looking at colleges, one thing that you need to know for sure is you're clear on what the tuition fees are and what the average costs are for room and meals. These items are so important because these will be the items that you will get a bill for. So when a college sends you a bill, they're going to bill you for these items. Typically, colleges are going to bill you twice a year, and your first bill will come towards June or July if you're a senior. Your second bill for that school year will come around November or December, so they bill you twice a year. So whatever you see to be the cost to go to that college for a year, they'll just split that in half, and you'll pay it by semester. Now, the items on the right are not items that you're going to get a bill for, but they are going to be things that you are required to have for college. So books and supplies, students do have to purchase whatever books they need for class. On average, students are spending anywhere between $500 to $800 per semester for their books. It really depends on their major and how many books they have to have for the classes that they're taking, but that's going to be a part of it. The other thing is going to be transportation. So all the 4-year colleges, if your student has a car, and they're going to have to purchase a parking permit, and parking permits cost anywhere between $400 to $500 a year. So if you are planning to go to a 4-year college, a public 4-year college in particular, and you're taking your car, you definitely want to think about getting a parking permit, even if you are thinking about commuting. So maybe you're thinking about commuting to a local 4-year college, you do have to purchase a commuter pass, and those cost anywhere between $300 to $400 a year. If you're not taking your car on campus, then you also just want to be sure that you are clear on what the transportation options are. Especially a lot of the larger 4-year colleges, they have some type of transit system that's connected to their college. So you may be able to get a year pass so that you can get around, add it to your bill. So do ask them about transportation options if you're not going to take your car. If you're planning to go out of state, I definitely want you to think about transportation. I want you to go ahead and look at what the average costs are for bus, plane, and train tickets, because that will be an expense you did not have before, and that student will be coming back and forth home at least a couple of times a year. So you do want to think about transportation when you're thinking about out-of-state schools. And then the other item will be personal and miscellaneous expenses. These are all the things that right now you guys share. So all of the bathroom items, all the laundry items, all the stuff that we know too well right now because we've used them so frequently. These are all the items that everybody shares. And so those are the same items that students would need if they're living on a four-year college campus. They would need those items at that four-year school. So go ahead and do an inventory of everything things that people are sharing, because that will be the things that the student will need to take to school. I do tell senior students and families to, as it gets closer to graduation, to kind of create some type of wish list. So even things like towels and sheets. I also tell seniors to ask for graduation gifts like gift cards to Walmart, Target, because that's where you're going to buy those everyday items. And so it will be good to allow other people to help you do that around graduation time, because most people do want to buy some type of graduation gift. And then all of the four-year colleges, if the student is able to live on campus, is going to ask for proof of health insurance. As long as you're able to show that the student is covered under some type of health insurance, you will not be charged anything in addition. But if you're not able to show that your student is covered under some type of health insurance, when you get your bill, they will charge you for the school's health insurance plan. So just be sure that whenever they ask you for proof of health insurance, that you show that to them by their deadline, whenever that is. Otherwise, that when you get your bill, they will charge you for their college's health insurance. But all of these things are associated with going to college for a year. So when you're thinking about what are the items that we need to be looking at, priority number one are going to be the things on the left. The other thing that I do like for families to make sure that they are considering in this process is of course, the two-year option. I think we've done a really good job at trying to encourage students to get ready for college. And I mean parents, friends, family, encouraging students to get ready for college. But one of the things that we do not spend enough time on is, why do you want to go to college? Like, what is your major? What do you plan to major in? Are you sure that you want to major in that? It's not like high school, of course. If they change their major, then that can mean another semester, another year that they are in college. And as a parent or someone who's helping pay for this process, that's another semester or another year that you have to worry about paying for. So we do always want families to ask questions about, why do you want to go to college? Are you sure that that's what you would like to major in? The two-year option is so great because there are some students, depending on what they want to go to college for, they can get it done at a two-year school. So we have to stop thinking that the college experience is just a four-year school. There are some students who, depending on their career goal, they can get it done at the community college. And so we do want you to have those discussions about, why do you want to go to college? The other thing that you want to be sure that you are clear on is that a lot of students right now are also choosing the transfer option. So they may understand that they need a four-year degree to do whatever it is that they're trying to do. But a lot of students are choosing to go to the community college for a year or 2 years and then transfer to their four-year school. It really does save a lot of money when you think about it. I always try to put it in perspective for families. One class at a community college is about $250. That same exact class, not a different class, but that same exact class at a four-year school will cost anywhere between $800 to $1,500 per class. And so it's just a big savings that you're doing. And the reason why a lot of students do it their first 2 years is because most students, when they first go to college, everybody is taking what they call prerequisite courses. So these are the courses that, regardless of your major, you're going to have to take. And so those are the classes that are offered at the community college. And that's why students are able to go there for a year or 2 years and then transfer into a four-year school as a junior, because they've taken all of the prerequisite classes for their major. The only thing that I do ask families to do is, if you're thinking about transferring, especially if you're thinking about transferring to a private college, or if you're thinking about transferring to an out-of-state college, that you definitely ask them questions as far as how many classes will they allow you to transfer. There are some private schools that do have rules as far as how many credits you can bring in. And then, of course, there are also some out-of-state colleges that may not accept all the credit that you took at your local community college. So definitely ask those questions. But it's a great way to save money, and I do highly encourage you to at least consider it as an option as you're going through this process. The other thing is that we also like to make sure that all families are aware of North Carolina's We Promise program. So this is just a way that North Carolina came up with a couple of years ago to try to make college more affordable. And so they made an agreement with all of our 16 public schools. There's two parts of the promise. One part of the promise says that there will be 3 colleges that will have their tuition set at $500 per semester. So that means $1,000 a year, but their tuition will be set at $500 a semester. You will still need to pay for room and meals, but the tuition will be set at that other expense. The 3 colleges that are a part of that promise are Western Carolina, UNC Pembroke, and Elizabeth City State. So those are the ones that technically right now, they have the lowest tuition out of all of our 4-year colleges in North Carolina. Again, that's Western Carolina, UNC Pembroke, and Elizabeth City State. The other part of the promise is that for the colleges who did not have their tuition reduced to $500, they guarantee that if your student gets admitted to any of the other 16 public colleges, that you will be locked into your tuition for 4 years. Why that's so significant is that typically tuition goes up anywhere between 3 to 6% every year. So most students, when they go in as a freshman, they are paying one price, and by the time they graduate, they are paying a completely different price to go to that school. And so what they're guaranteeing through this Promise program is that your tuition will be locked in for 4 years. So whatever you come in as a freshman, it will stay that for 4 years. Now, if it takes your student 5 years to graduate, on that 5th year, your tuition will go up to whatever it should have gone up over those 4 years, but they do guarantee that it will stay fixed for 4 years. If you want to learn more about the program, you can visit affordableeducation.org and learn about all the details related to the We Promise program. And so one of the things that I'm hoping, especially for seniors in particular, I'm hoping that seniors are doing scholarship searches. I do know that they're working on college applications, and hopefully they're working on, if they haven't already, their residency applications. But the other important part is doing scholarship applications. This is definitely what the colleges are hoping students are doing. And these are the top 4 places that we like to tell students to go to make sure that you cover all of your scholarship bases. One of them for local scholarships are going to be, those are going to be like from local businesses, local churches, local organizations. They typically are going to send their scholarship information to your high school. So most local businesses, again, organizations and churches send their applications to the high school. And so that would be through your counselors. And most of the local scholarships really start to come in around November or December. That's typically when most local organizations start sending in a lot of their applications, but definitely be sure that you are clear on how to get scholarship information at your high school. The other thing is, if you're thinking about going to a college or university in North Carolina, we do encourage you to go to cfnc.org, because that's where all of the North Carolina scholarships are housed. So that means one of the major requirements for the scholarships on that site will be that you have to use it at a college or university in North Carolina, whether or not it's a 2-year school or a 4-year school. And again, that's for any of the colleges in our state. So definitely go there. The scholarship information will be under the Pay for College section, and then that's where you'll see all of the scholarships. And then for institutional scholarships, hopefully students are already, especially if they're a senior, they're already paying attention to locals or institutional scholarship information. So that means all of the different colleges have separate scholarship applications. So yes, you're going to be doing the financial aid forms, but that does not cover all of the scholarships at their schools. You typically have to do separate individual scholarship applications for many of the scholarships that they offer. The 4-year colleges do have early deadlines. So if you are thinking about going to a 4-year school and you're wanting to apply for any of their institutional scholarships, I encourage you to go there very soon, because a lot of times their deadlines could be as early as the end of this month, some of them in November. A prerequisite for a lot of the institutional scholarships is that your student had to have at least applied to the college first. So that's why we're encouraging students to get their applications at least submitted for admission to those colleges, because without those admissions applications, they may not be able to apply for the scholarships. And so again, be sure that you're visiting their sites for that information. Community colleges do scholarships as well. So if you're thinking about going to a 2-year school, or you're thinking about the transfer option, community colleges also do scholarships. So be sure that you're visiting their financial aid page for any scholarships you may can apply for through them. And then national scholarships, these are going to be all the scholarships that you can pretty much use and find anywhere. I usually tell people, a lot of times people will ask me, how do we find scholarships? We hear about all of these scholarships that are out there. And I kind of do giggle a little bit on the inside, because scholarships are not in a secret world. They are in the same world that we operate in now. So if we are looking for anything, if we're looking for something at a store, if we are looking for something anywhere in the world, we start our search with Google. It used to be difficult to find scholarships because we had to go to a library, we had to check out books, we had to do research. Now you don't have to do all of that. All the scholarship applications are online. So I always tell people to start with a search engine like Google. You can type in the word scholarships. It'll probably bring up 1 million hits when you do that. But I would like for you to try to be a little bit more specific. If I know my major, I might put in accounting scholarships. If they exist, guess what Google is going to do? It is going to find them for me. I could put in female accounting scholarships. If they exist, they will come up from a simple Google search. So don't make it more difficult than what it is. There's not going to be anybody that's just going to lay all the scholarships in your lap. So I think that's what most people are looking for, is just tell me that one website I can go to apply for all the scholarships, but it does not work that way. You do have to visit different scholarship websites. The main thing that I want you to keep in mind as you are visiting websites online, as you do searches, is to never pay for a scholarship application. There are scams just like there are in every industry. So if you get to a website and they charge you money to actually complete an application or to even search their database of scholarships, never pay for scholarship information. The application should always be free. And then the other thing that I tell people as you're online searching for scholarships is to always look for the security site. So as you find the site, be sure that you look very immediately in that web address and make sure that you see that lock at the beginning. That lets you know that it is a secure website. So as long as you are able to see that lock, and as long as you don't pay for an application, you are able to apply for whatever scholarships that you find. Most of them will tell you their requirements right away. So it's not going to be a secret as far as if you know whether or not you meet the criteria to even apply for it. But that's really the easiest place to start searches. And I always tell people to think about anything unique about yourself and just put the word scholarship afterwards. If it exists, it's going to come up. And so again, use Google as your friend. If you have Alexa, just tell Alexa to find it for you too. So, but it's definitely a lot easier than what it used to be. The other thing is that I do like for students to also use social media because just like everything else, scholarships also advertise on social media. So say for instance, I find a scholarship website, but they said that their application doesn't open up until December. One of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is to look for their social media icons somewhere on their website. They usually have a Facebook or an Instagram page too. And if you like or follow their pages, when you're just mindlessly going through Facebook or mindlessly going through Instagram, you will see that come up in your feed. They're going to announce that their scholarship application has opened. They're going to announce that the application is about to close in 1 week. So be sure that you are using social media as your friend when it comes to staying on top of when applications are due and just any kind of updates for the different scholarship websites that you're visiting. There are also some scholarship apps, so you can go to your app store. Again, I told you it's just like everything else we do. So go to your app store, in the search box, you can put scholarship apps. Some of them are free to download, and of course, those are the ones I recommend that you download are the free ones. And you can usually apply for the scholarships right through the app. So again, use your app stores also as a way to look for different scholarships. But if you cover and kind of go through all of these places, you will have covered all of your bases when it comes to looking for scholarships. There definitely are several out there. I've kind of been hearing from different schools that students are not filling out scholarship applications. So I'm going to continue to push this part of it because it's so important in the college process. So be sure that you're applying for scholarships. And then these are going to be the two main forms that colleges are going to ask you to complete when it comes to them giving a financial offer to you. They're hoping that you're doing scholarship searches so you can bring in money to the school. You're hoping that they're going to offer you some money. And so in order for them to be able to offer any kind of money to you, you have to fill out their financial forms. For most of the colleges, the main financial form is a FAFSA application. It opened up October 1st. So some of you may have already done it or started it. And if you have and you're a senior, definitely that's a great thing. If you have not, again, it just opened up October 1st. The latest that I would like for you to have this form submitted to colleges is October 31st. So technically you have the whole school year to complete this form. But your goal in completing the form is to be considered for the most money that you can from a college or university. And in order to be considered for the most money, you have to fill out the FAFSA form, and you have to complete it early because their money does run out. And so this is the website that you would go to fill it out if you have not already. It's FAFSA.gov. They also have an app available for this now. So you do not have to be on a computer or a laptop to complete your FAFSA application. You can go to your app store. The name of the app is called My Student Aid. It's free to download. You can fill out the application completely through the app. I actually like the app a little better. I think it's very user-friendly. So you can either do it on your laptop or computer on the website, or you can download the app and do it on your phone. This application does have to be renewed every year. So for the people that have completed, great, you have completed it for this year, but it will open up again next October 1st, and you have to do a renewal form. So every year you are having to complete this form. The first year, it is just to give you, when you're filling it out for this year, it's just so they can give you an offer for that freshman year of college or that first year of college. Next October, you'll be coming in to do a renewal so they can give you an offer for that next school year. So it does have to be renewed every year. The other application, so that's going to be the main application that colleges are going to ask you for, is going to be the FAFSA. Some colleges, though, I want families to do 2 financial forms. So some of you are going to be fortunate enough to complete 2 financial forms for colleges. There are only select colleges that ask for this second form. So not all colleges ask for this. What I will do is name the 5 colleges in North Carolina, because we only have 5 that ask for this second application. I'll name them so you'll know. If you don't hear your college called, you do not have to worry about doing this form at all. The 5 colleges in our state that ask for it are Duke, Wake Forest, Elon, Davidson, and UNC Chapel Hill. Again, that's Duke, Wake Forest, Elon, Davidson, and UNC Chapel Hill. So this application is also open for families to complete. They ask very similar questions that are on the FAFSA, but some of the questions are different. The website that you're going to go to complete this second application, if you need to do it, is on the College Board website. So you should be familiar with College Board because they're the people that do the SAT. So at some time during the student's high school career, they should have gone to the College Board website to register for the SAT, to see the SAT dates, but they also do this CSS profile form for colleges. So if you are having to do that, you would go to the collegeboard.org website and complete this application. The way that the colleges get this, because you're just doing one of them per year, the way that colleges get them is there will be a section that they'll ask you what colleges do you want us to send this information to, and they'll send it to up to 10 different colleges. So you'll be able to list up to 10 different schools. I do like to stress to families, students do not have to have applied to those colleges. They don't even have to have been admitted to any of those colleges. Most students right now, for sure, don't know if they've been admitted to any schools. The admissions process and the financial aid process are completely separate. So you are filling out this form. You're going to list the colleges that you're thinking about applying to, that you have applied to. And then if you get admitted to those colleges, they will make you a financial offer. But these are going to be the 2 main forms that you need to fill out. This is also when families start and parents start to become a part of the process. With the college applications, they can typically do them by themselves. Of course, they also need your parent information for residency forms, but parents are also needed for these financial forms. So parents, this is when you really do become a part of the process. This is what the, so you'll know if you haven't paid this attention, when you come to the College Board website, for the people that have to fill out the CSS profile, this is what it looks like on the main page of the College Board website. On the very end, you'll see the CSS profile. You just click here, and this is where you start it. They will also have listed on here all of the colleges in the United States that ask for this second application. I just named the 5 colleges in North Carolina. Some of you may be thinking about some out-of-state colleges, and if you are, and you want to know if your college is on the list for this particular form, just come here and it'll show you all the colleges in the US that ask for this profile application. The FAFSA application is free. This profile application does cost $25 to complete. So if your student is applying to any of those 5 schools or any of the schools that are on the list for this form, it does cost $25. And depending on how many schools you have to have it sent to, they may charge you a little bit more than $25. But the initial fee is $25 to complete this application. It's not required, but it is highly recommended if you want to be considered for everything that college can offer you to come to their school. So again, that's for the people that are doing the CSS profile. And then of course, this is what the FAFSA site looks like. I just want to be sure for the people who have not started the application yet, that this is what it will look like when you come to the website. I know that sometimes you may can just hit one wrong letter and it'll take you to a completely different website. So I want you to be clear that this is what it should look like. Once you click on it, you'll just click on start here and start the process. And remember, I said that every year it has to be renewed. So you'll come back to the same website and you'll see where it has returning user. So you'll be able to do a renewal form for that. One of the things that I also like to tell you is that for both of these financial websites, you are going to have to create a username and password. It's going to be critical that you create a username and password that you can remember, because remember, these forms have to be renewed. So the same username and password that you created to go into this website this first year, you are going to need it every year to do that renewal form. So you need to have a username and password that you can remember, or one that you can easily get to. They're also going to have families that complete the FAFSA application. You're also going to have to create an ID number. And so a lot of times people get confused with this ID number. The ID number is really going to be your signature. So you, at the end of the application, they're going to ask you to verify that all of the information is correct. And so they're going to want your signature. You can't physically sign it. So what they do is they connect your name to an ID number, and that then becomes your signature. So when you get to the signature section, you will put in your ID number. So that means there has to be 2 separate ID numbers that are registered for. As a student, I have to register for an ID number. And then at least one of the parents in my home, they need to also register for an ID number so that we can submit the application. So 2 separate ID numbers have to be registered for. You can come directly to this website. If you have not already registered for an ID number, you can come directly to this site that's listed here. Or you can just wait till you get to that section. It will have a link there for you to register for an ID. You do get it right away. So you can either do it now or do it before you start or while you're actually doing the application. The ID number will have to be used every year. So again, whatever ID number that they assign you, that will give you the chance to be able to create an ID number. You need to remember it because it will need to be used every year that you submit this application. For the people that have already completed it, I do want you to ensure that you have done the right school year. They do have school year options out there as far as what year you're filling it out for. For everybody or for every senior, you should be choosing the 2021-2022 application. They do have an option out there for the 2020-2021 school year. That's for the current school year. You're not enrolled in college right now. You'll be enrolled in college for the 2021-22 school year. So be sure that that is the school year that you choose to do this application for. And then a lot of times parents will ask me what information is going to be asked from me. For all parents, they're going to be asking you for your 2019 tax information. So if you have not already completed it, if you don't know where your 2019 taxes are, you do need to locate those. If you need to get them from a tax preparer, if you need to download them from a website, they are needed to complete this application. If you are not required to file taxes, there will be a question that asks, are you required to file? If you say no, then they will say to ask you if you receive any of these benefits. You'll just check the benefits that you received for 2019, and then they may even put a portion on there where you will explain the amount that you received, but they are asking for 2019 tax information this school year. There will be a section on there right before you get to the income part that will ask you, would you like for them to try to retrieve your information from the IRS? So they are connected to the IRS website, so they can actually try to retrieve your taxes for you. If they're able to retrieve your taxes, it will automatically start answering questions for you. So there will be some questions during the income section that you will not even have to answer if you transfer your information directly from the IRS. So I highly encourage you to do that as a way to save time. It makes it easier. If for some reason that they are not able to retrieve your taxes, that's why I want you to have your 2019 taxes nearby so that you can be sure that you just enter in the information manually. They will also ask a little bit of questions about untaxed income. Most of the untaxed income section, you don't have to worry about exactly what those items are. You will see them. If you received any of the items, you would just put a check next to whatever they're asking you of any untaxed income that you may have received for 2019. Some of you are going to be asked some asset questions. Not everybody will get asset questions. They have this based on a skip logic. So it means based on how you answer one question will determine if you get another question. So some of you may not get any asset questions and some of you may get several. When they are asking you about assets, they're asking you about as of the date that you're filling it out. So all the other information is based off of 2019. The asset questions need to be answered based off of the day that you're filling them out. And these are typically the assets that they're going to ask you about. So I know that a lot of people are already asking this. And so you're saying that they're asking us to put in 2019 information. A lot has happened since 2019. We don't even really remember 2019, how it was like to function in 2019. Colleges are aware of that. So they do have financial change forms available. So you have to submit the financial forms as is. So you have to put in 2019 information because that's what they're asking you for. If your income, though, has changed a lot, either been affected by COVID-19 or just other situations, colleges will have a financial change form available for you to fill out to explain how your situation has changed since you have filed taxes the last time. They've always had these forms available for the situations that are up here. They just added COVID-19 as an option because they do understand that a lot of people have been affected by this in different ways. So if you feel like that your income has been affected drastically, definitely fill out the financial change forms. You do have to do them with individual colleges. So again, on the FAFSA, they're going to send that to multiple schools if your student puts in multiple colleges. But if you are wanting to request a financial change, you have to contact each individual school and they'll have the financial change forms available for you to fill out. So if my student applies to 5 different colleges and I feel like I definitely need to do one of these financial change forms, that means I need to contact each one of those schools to get a copy of their financial change form and submit it to their college, each one individually. This is just to show you what the financial change might look like. I went to a couple of colleges' websites just to see, because I wanted to see how easy it would be for you to access them and what they look like. This was one for UNC Charlotte. This was pretty clear to get to. I just went to their financial aid page and they had COVID-19 financial change form. I clicked on that and then this is what it looks like when I opened it. It says that I've been affected by COVID-19 because of my income or a job or income loss. And then these are the documents that they're asking me for. So that's why I definitely want you to pack some patience when you start this process, because there's going to be a lot of documentation they're going to ask you. They're asking you for a lot of documentation because they just want to make sure that they are considering you, again, for the most that they can, that they are clear on how you've been affected by everything. And so they will ask you for lots of documents. This is why I kind of recommend that families do not request financial change forms until you know that your student has been admitted to that college. Because again, you're not going to get any type of financial offer until they've been admitted. And so let's say I fill out and complete all of this information and then I find out my student has not been admitted to the college. I have wasted time by doing the form and submitting all these documents. I would at least wait until you know your student's been admitted. And then once you find out they've been admitted, then I would request the financial change form from the college. Not all of them are this simple to find. I did go to several colleges' websites. Some of them just had a statement that said, you know, call this number or send an email if you want to get a copy of our financial change form. But this is one that I found that was easy to find, and I thought it would be a good way to show you an example of the forms that will be available from the different colleges. And then one of the big questions that we get a lot is when we're filling out these forms, will my student ever be able to do them by themselves? Will they always have to have me as a parent? So the basic answer to that is if the student is under the age of 24 years old, they are going to have parent information. So not 21, not if they have their own apartment. If they are under the age of 24, they are going to have parent information. There are some exceptions to the rule because they do understand that there are some different family situations. So right before you get to the parent section, you will be asked, does your student meet any of these scenarios? If you are able to answer yes to one of those scenarios, then your student can fill it out without parent information. They can do it completely by themselves. But if you answer no to all the questions, which is usually what happens for most students, then you will have to have parent information on the form. When it comes to what parents are going to be required every year that you're filling this out, if there are 2 parents in the home, 2 parents have to be on the application. If I just live with my mother, either because my parents are now separated or divorced or they were never married, then the only person I'm putting on this form is my mother, because that's who I live with over 50% of the time. So it's whatever parent that you're living with over 50% of the time if the parents are separated or divorced. But if my parent that I'm living with, they get married or they get remarried, I now have to include my step parent. So it's either 2 biological or adopted parents, a single parent, or a parent and a step parent that have to be on the forms when I fill them out each year. And then the other big question that we get asked a lot is, what am I applying for? The reason why we're pushing you to get these applications submitted to colleges is because most of you want some type of financial offer offered to you. And I don't know how you expect to get one if you don't fill out the financial request form. So I don't care what your income is. This is a question that we get a lot. Well, what if my income is this? Should we even complete this form? This is what you're actually applying for. So you're applying for federal money. You're applying for money through your state. So remember I said that's why we want that residency application done, because these are the funds that you're applying for through the state of North Carolina. And then you're also applying for money through that individual institution, which can vary greatly depending on the school. So some colleges may not have a lot of money to be able to offer their families. Another college may. And so I always tell families to complete these applications because you do not know what an individual college has to offer you. Some of the funds are based on financial need, and they will look very heavily at your income for some of the grant programs. But there are some funds that have nothing to do with financial need. It may just be because that student's in a certain major. It may be because they came from a certain part of the state. There are just different criteria that could be out there for different funds that they're able to offer you. So one of the things I can guarantee you for sure is if you don't fill it out, you will not be offered anything. But if you want to be given some type of financial option to help you pay for college, you do need to fill out these financial forms every year that student is in school. And then as a part of the process, they do offer loans as a part of the process. So not all of the money is free. They do have loans as an option. And so especially at the four-year colleges, this is how much they will let students borrow. So they do have a limit as far as how much students can borrow per year that they're in college. Their first year, they can borrow up to $5,500. Their second year, they can borrow up to $6,500. And their junior and senior years, they can borrow up to $7,500. These loans are solely in the students' names. They do not start paying them back until 6 months after they graduate or 6 months after they are no longer enrolled. So that can mean if your student decides to go on to graduate school and they took out loans for their first degree, as long as they're enrolled at least part-time, they will not start any payments on those loans until they finish college. So they will be given that option. Because they do realize that $5,500 may not be enough to cover a bill for a student, they will also have parent loan options. So as a parent, you will be given the option to be able to take out a loan to help pay for college. With the parent loans, they do have a credit check process. So a parent could be approved or denied for a loan that they apply for. Students are automatically approved for theirs, but parents do have to go through a credit check process. If you're approved for it, of course, it just stays in your name. They will give you the option if you would like to stop payments while the student is enrolled in college. You will be given that option to do that. So if I'm a parent and I take out a loan for college, they can stop payments as long as my student is enrolled at least part-time until that student graduates. The interest will continue to accrue on that loan, but they will stop the payments from coming each month if I take out a loan as a parent. One of the things I do want to mention because I know there are different financial situations and people have been affected in different ways. If you are concerned that you will not be approved for a parent loan, what they will do is if a parent applies for a parent loan and they do not get approved, then they'll come back to me, the student, and let me know that you did at least apply for it, but because you were not approved, they'll offer me a $4,000 increase to my student loan. So instead of me being able to just borrow $5,500 my freshman year, I can now borrow up to $9,500 because my parent at least applied for the parent loan and they were denied. So that's the only time they offer a student an increase to their student loan. If there was any other time to take out a student loan, this is actually, a good year because student interest rates are really low. Student loans are at 2.7% and parent loans are at 5.3. So they are at good rates. So if there was any time that you had to take out one, it's not a bad time to do it. They're definitely lower competitive rates. And then this is what it will look like when your student has actually submitted the form. So I do want to be sure that when you're doing these financial forms, you want to be clear that you got a confirmation page. You should also get a confirmation email. So when you submit the FAFSA or that CSS profile, you should get a confirmation email that lets you know that it was successfully submitted. They will send it to all the colleges, so you will not hear from the FAFSA people once you hit submit. The next people that you will hear from will be the colleges that you listed on the application. If your student gets admitted, then they'll start processing a financial offer. And this is typically what the financial aid offers will start to look like. One of the things that I want to stress to parents and students is that whatever email address that they put on their admissions application, that will be the email address that everything is communicated to. So if they need more documentation submitted for their admissions application, it goes to the student's email. If there are more documentation that they need from the financial form, it goes to the student's email. They're not calling parents, they're not sending parents emails, it goes to the student's email address. And so one of the things you want to be sure is that your students are checking the email address that they put on those college applications at least weekly, if not daily, after they submit admissions applications to different colleges. So be sure that they are checking that on a regular basis. Some families create a college email, so that makes it less complicated. So that will be an email account that everybody has access to and it's just for college information. But that's, again, whatever they put on that admissions application is going to be the one where everything is communicated. Once a financial offer is available, they'll send an email and say that you can go view your offer online, and then it will look something like this. You'll have the option to either accept or decline whatever you've been offered. And then you can also reduce loan amounts. So you can see up here, the student was offered, of course, the $5,500 for their freshman year, but you could reduce it down. If you only needed $1,000, you could just type in $1,000 is what you wanted to accept. So you don't have to accept the full amount. You can always reduce it to whatever you want it to, but it'll look very similar to this. My hope is that your students are applying to at least 3 to 5 different colleges, at least. If not more. Again, the FAFSA form gives them 10 spaces. So there are some students who apply for 10 colleges. The reason why you have those different options is because, remember, with this process, not everybody is admitted that applies. So that means there will be some colleges they do not get admitted to. So you want to have options. If they don't get admitted to this college, then you still have these other options. The other thing is that every college, again, remember I said they're going to offer you something different. So one college may be able to offer you one package, another college may be able to offer you something completely different. So you want to be able to have different financial options. Most of the offers are not going to start coming into you until between the months of February and April. So that means that right now, students are applying to colleges. You're going to submit the forms by the end of October, like I'm asking you to, but the financial offers are not going to start coming in until at the earliest, the end of February. The majority of them will be around March when you start getting most of your financial offers. The reason why they have to wait then, of course, is because, remember, I said they have to be admitted to their school. And most of your students won't find out their admission status until towards, October, November, December, depending on the college and how many applications they get. It may be January. So it's not until after that time that they're able to start giving you a financial offer. So just continue, of course, to look for that. And then I do want you to be able to compare offers. So this is just showing you right here how the reason why I like for students to apply to multiple schools, so that you can see how offers are very different from one school to the other. There are some schools that can give you better offers than others. You'll see this is the top line showing you how much it costs to go to all the colleges this student applied to. This figure is including tuition, fees, room and books, and room and meals, and the average cost for books. But then right here is when the college started making the offers. You'll see right here where it has institutional money. Look how different that is from one school to the next. And this is why I tell people, do not go off for conversations you have with other parents. It depends on where your student is going to college and what they are going to be able to offer your student for that year based off the money that they have. I like for parents to have conversations about what they will offer, but it may be completely different for you. The other thing is that for work study, the student was also offered work study. One of the questions they ask on these financial forms is, would you like to be considered for work study? And most students say no, because they don't know what it is. Work study is a part-time job. So what they're trying to do is offer your student a part-time job. So they ask you this question on the FAFSA form: would you like to be considered for work study? If you say no, they're not going to consider you for it. But if you say yes, they will at least consider your student for a part-time job. And they're just letting this student know that they are able to earn up to $2,000 on their part-time job through the work study program. And then you'll see the student loan amounts, and then you'll see the total amount they will offer from all the schools. And then this to be paid line, this is why I want y'all to be clear on how much it costs to go there for a year. Because when they give you these offers, they might not have posted right next to it how much it costs to go there a year. So when you get these dollar amounts, they're gonna look really nice until you remember how much it costs to go there a year. So I always want you to know that for every school. So this family kept those numbers in mind. They subtracted what they were offered from how much they know it costs to go there. And then this is how much they figured out they were going to have to come up with if that student wants to go to those schools. This is why, again, I like for multiple options. And I also, this is when scholarships fit. So most people are like, how do scholarships fit in the process? This is when they fit in. So the reason why people are stressing students to get scholarship applications done, and why I spent so much time talking about them, is because they are so important, especially in the four-year college process. Colleges are going to try to offer you the most that they can, but in a lot of times, even before these times, they were not able to offer a lot of families 100% of what you needed to pay the bill. This is when scholarships fit. So that means that the first thing they're going to ask you is, do you have any scholarship money that you need to report to us? And so then they'll try to do whatever they can to deduct that from how much you owe them. And so when students are ignoring scholarship opportunities now, I kind of get really disappointed, because most students make the mistake of starting to look for scholarships after they get financial aid offers. You are not going to get financial aid offers until March. And so at this point, you don't know what a college is going to offer you. So when you're applying for scholarships pretty much blindly, not knowing what a college is going to be able to offer you. And so there's going to be scholarships that have deadlines in October, in November, and December. And in March, you're not going to be able to come back and apply for those scholarships that were in November, because their deadlines have passed. That ship has sailed. So you have missed all of those opportunities. And so for seniors and for parents of seniors that are on here, you need to encourage your students to do as many applications as they can, because again, you do not know what a college is going to be able to offer you to come there. If a student does not have any scholarship money, then this is when they do offer the parent loans as an option. There's not a limit on how much parents can borrow to help pay a bill. So if you need to borrow $7,500, they will allow you as a parent to apply for a loan for that amount. So you will be given the option of a parent loan. They will also give you the option of payment plans. So you will have a payment plan option. If you want to spread out your payments throughout the school year, you'll be given the option to do that. And then they also will give you private education loans. And these are just loans that are offered through different private sectors, like banks and different organizations will do loans where they can be in students' names, but they have to have a credit-worthy cosigner. So students will have the opportunity to apply for more loan money if they wanted to, and colleges will let you know about those organizations that do them for students. So those are the options that colleges will give you after they give you the financial offers. Most of the time, they'll give you guys until May to make a decision on whatever offer that you've received. So you usually will have up until May 1st to decide if you want to accept it or decline it. But that's kind of how this whole process is going to work. For the junior families that were not senior families, the earliest that you'll be able to do these financial forms will be October 1st of your student senior year. So just know that. But you can absolutely start doing scholarship applications or scholarship searches now as a junior or sophomore parent. But if you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to contact the financial aid offices of the colleges. They have online chats. They have numbers that you can call. We also have a call center that's located in Raleigh that you can call, and that's what this number is. It's for our call center in Raleigh. So if you want to call and ask questions there. Remember, we are having those virtual live events that are going on this month. So you definitely want to try to join any of those if you're filling out your FAFSA or your residency form this month and you want to ask questions. It will be a good time to ask those type of questions. I don't give out my email phone number because I don't do private consulting, but I do answer questions through social media. So I did create some social media pages. I try to also post scholarship information and information that's relevant to, especially to seniors at this time or throughout the school year. So you can either follow or like me on Instagram or Facebook. It's Tamika at CFNC. And then people also ask me questions through there, so which I don't mind at all. So if you have questions as you're going through this, you can send them through those pages. I just started the Instagram page, and again, that's Facebook pages out there at Tamika at CFNC. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm also going to allow you guys to be able to ask any questions that you may want to at this point.